All right, today what we're going to be talking about are congruent triangles. So let's get into the definitions first. So congruent triangles are triangles are congruent if they have the same size and shape, and we've talked about that before. Now, here's what's very important. Highlight this or star it. The order of the letters matter when we're determining which sides are congruent. For example, congruent statement is triangle ABC is congruent to triangle DEF. However, if you start with BCA, then the other must be triangle EFD. So all corresponding angles and side lengths are congruent, and we're going to show you an example here. So what I did was I kind of color-coded the sides. So if you look here, the corresponding parts, you look at the notations on them. So here you see AB, which is right here. If you notice, it's got one tick mark, hash mark, whatever you call it here. And then A has 2 for the angles and B has 1 for the angles here. So what corresponds with A on the other triangle, or with AB, excuse me, is ED, because this also has 1 tick mark through it. And if you notice, A and D both have 2 of the arcs, so that's why we put those letters first. And then E has 1 to notate the angle, and B also has 1. So you would say that this is congruent to this, and you know that because you matched up the sides and the angles. So same thing here for AC, segment AC. You notice it's got 2 here, A has 2 here, C has 3 here. So when you come over and you look, you're going to look for 2 here. So we know it's going to be this side. So now if we start with A, we have to start with D. And then we know that F and C correspond. And then lastly for BC, we're right here. We've got 3 marks here. B has 1 there, C has 3 here. So we got to go 3 marks here. Remember we said that B and E, because order matters, correspond. And then C corresponds with F. All right, same can be said for the angles, so that's the sides. And then for angles, we already talked about how angle A goes with angle D. We said angle B goes with angle E because they're both notated the same. And then angle C goes with angle F. So order matters. Okay, let's look at this first one. It says given triangle GMA is congruent to triangle FPJ, we're going to find X and Y. So, So what I'm going to do is I'm looking at the order. So here I've got angle G is first and angle F is first. So that's telling me angle G corresponds with angle F. So if angle G is Y equals 8, angle F is 80, I know they're congruent, so I'm going to equal them to each other. All right. Now let's come over and let's look at the sides. If we're going to look for the sides, here we have JP, JP. So we have to go the exact order, AM. All right. So now, since we know, or PJ and MA, PJ is congruent to MA. We said PJ was 2x plus 3, and MA is 7. So you just equal those together. So it's pretty easy once you get used to it, but order matters. All right, now we're going to get into a bunch of theorems and postulates used to prove triangles congruent. So this is important to know you're finding congruent. All right, we'll learn about some other ones that are different or for similar. All right, so this is just kind of understanding what information is provided and what information you can infer from it. So let's get started here. You have side, side, side. So it's when you have 2 triangles that have 3 corresponding set of sides that are congruent. So if you look at this first side, or this triangle here, if you notice, here and here are congruent. There's the second side that's congruent, and the third side. Well, it makes sense if you have 3 sides that are congruent. This is the way to prove it using SSS, which is side, side, side. Another one is side, angle, side. So you have your two triangles with two pairs of sides congruent, and the angles are between them are also congruent. So go in order wherever you start. So it needs to go side, angle, side, side, angle, side. So, and remember, because the opposite angles match up, so if these two angles, then these two sides are going to be the same also. All right, angle, side, angle. So you have two pairs of angles that are congruent and the sides between them. So now we go angle, side, and angle. So again, go in order, angle, side, angle. And the same here, angle, side, angle. So it goes in order. And the angle, or the side, is between them. All right, now you have angle, angle, side. So again, it needs to go in that order where you have two angles next to each other, and then the third is the side. So the sides not between are congruent. So if you notice, it's here, here, and then it is not here, it's the other side. So since this is not between, that's why this is angle, angle, side. All right, and then hypotenuse. So you need two right triangles. So it's got to be a right triangle. And you have your hypotenuse marked and one of the legs marked. And you know, because it'll show a right angle, which one's the hypotenuse. So this is your hypotenuse. This is your hypotenuse. And then this is your leg. So if the hypotenuse and the legs are the same, then you know that they have the same 90-degree angle, but this is not side, angle, side. A lot of kids see that and they want to try to do that. And it's not side, side, angle, so we talk about that. So it has to be hypotenuse and leg. All right, let's try some. Now, there are some to where it's not. And for those are angle, angle, angle. So for angle, 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 if you notice here, angle, 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 they all have the same angles. However, the sides are different lengths. So once we talk about proportions, these are similar, but they're not congruent. All right, and then another one that is not is your side, side angle, because the third side can be any measurement, or the third angle can be any measurement, and so it's not going to prove them congruent. So you have side, side angle. So there's no such thing as a side, side angle because we don't know what those are. So this is not. And then that's your little clue here, because when you think about it. So that's a one way to think about it. So those are not congruent. All right, so let's try some. So we're going to figure out if the triangles are congruent and which postulate proves them to be congruent. So I did a few for you. Let's start here. And when you're looking at this, so you've got, let's look at the information provided, and you need to go in order. So I've got a side, I've got an angle, and I've got another side. So if you notice, the angle is in between the two sides. All right, same thing here, got a side, angle, side. So this is congruent through side, angle, side. Now this one, they don't have any sides listed, but they do have all the angles listed. Well, we just said that this is not congruent because we don't know the measurements of any of the sides. So we can't prove about any of the angles. So not congruent for that one. This one, if you notice, they gave you a right angle. So that should be a little hint to at least look for this, but you always got to prove it to double check. All right, so let's look. We have the hypotenuse, and it gave us a leg. Here we have the hypotenuse, and it gave us the leg. So this is hypotenuse leg to prove that they're true. All right, for this one, it gives us, we have, and it doesn't matter where you start. I can do it this way, where I go side, oops, side, angle. But you may say, hey, wait, I don't have that one. But if you look, oops, sorry. Sorry, side, angle, angle. So that's what I meant to put. So side, angle, angle. But we don't have that one listed because you just have to go backwards the other way. So once you know, oh, it's actually going that way, then you can see it's angle, angle, side. So let's just double check. We have angle, angle, side. Angle, angle, side. So notice the side is not in the between them. All right, now here it gave us 1, 2, 3 sides. 1, 2, 3 sides. So since it gave us all 3 sides, it's side, side, side. All right, so I want you to try these, and then we'll go over them in class. All right, now it says using the given postulate, tell which parts you need to show to be congruent. So for this one, I need side, angle, side. Well, it gave us a side, it gave us an angle, but we need to figure out what do we need for the final side. Well, they both share this side, so that's why we would need BD and AE in order to make this side right here. All right, for number 2, we need angle, side, angle. It gave us an angle here. It gave us a side here. We need to figure out what do we need for the third angle. And remember, it has to be in order. And it can't skip. It's got to be directly. So we need this last one here. So we need a angle, side, and we need this for your other angle. So we need angle A is congruent to angle E in order to make this correct. All right, and then for this one, we need side, side, side. So it gave us, I'm going to kind of erase this right now. It gave us these side, right? So now we're going to look for the third side, or second side, excuse me. We know this side is going to be congruent to that. And then the last side is what we're looking for. So in order for this, we need to know what's the third. Well, this is going to be congruent with itself because you have this side, and then it goes this side. So they both have this side in common. All right, so go ahead and write those both down. Okay, what you're going to do is you're going to try these on your own. And then for the bottom part, we're going to see are they congruent? And then which postulate makes them congruent? And then write the triangle congruent statement. So we're doing a bunch of stuff here. All right, so first we need to figure out, is this congruent? Well, let's see. I've got an angle. Oops. I've got a side. And I've got an angle. So does that happen on the other side? Angle, side, angle? Well, yes. Angle, side, angle. So we know that yes, this is congruent, and that's because of angle, side, angle. And then if you notice here, oops, those are vertical angles. So that's why when I did this, it wasn't marked, but I know this is congruent to that because they're vertical angles. So your congruency statement, remember order matters, is it says here, triangle DCE. So what I would do is I write one triangle first, and then I match up the other sides. So if D is across, it doesn't share this side, D is on the other side of C, I know that B has to go with D. And then C are both the right angles, so C is in the middle, so A has to be in the middle. And then lastly, I know E is the vertical angle here, so the other vertical angle is also E. So remember, order matters. All right, so what I want you to do is you're going to try 2 and 3, and then I'm going to do 4 with you. All right, so this right here, this symbol means perpendicular. Okay, all right, so for this, it's telling you that CN is perpendicular. Whoops. There it goes. CN is perpendicular to AB, and we know that segment CN bisects angle ACB. So CN is perpendicular, so if it's perpendicular, that means you have right angles right here. And then CN bisects, so this line will bisect this angle, so those two angles are the same. So now let's go ahead and figure out, well, I've got an angle, I've got a side, and I've got another angle down here. So with that, we've got an angle, side, angle, and this is also angle, side, angle. So yes, they are congruent based off of angle, side, angle. Now, like I said before, write 1 and then match up the letters. So if you have triangle ACN, you know that since A does not have any angles that we marked, A has to go with B. So we need to write both of those first. C is both angles, so that's in the middle. And then N is also both angles, so that's right there. So just make sure you match them all up. All right, go ahead, try those. And then moving forward, some of the proper notation is just knowing that a point is always going to be written as a capital letter, like capital A. A line is a lowercase script letter or 2 points on the line. So usually you'll see it looks like cursive, like L or M, or you'll see 2 points on a line like AB. A segment is 2 endpoints with a bar over the top of it. So that's this bar right here. And then an angle, you must include the angle symbol. Example, angle C. And if you're talking about the measure, you always put the M. And then if you're talking about this for segment, you would just say AB with no bar on top. All right. All of that is your congruent triangles.